Today's program is sponsored by The Anthony Vincent Salon. Say hello to beautiful.
You are listening to Trend Radio, where we talk about what's hot and what's not. Get into the loop with us. I'm Anthony Vincent.
And I'm Elise, and we're your radio gateway to what's trending with beauty, fashion, health, wellness, and sex.
Mostly sex.
Learn and laugh with us anytime, any place. Go right to our website, anthonyvincentsalon.com. Click away and listen today.
And you will be glad you did.
Always.
And do we have a great show today with great guests?
We do?
Yes, Joe
Really?
Nunez. Yes.
Oh, yes, I love Joe.
Yes, he is a photographer extraordinaire.
I was going to say extraordinaire.
So say it.
Extraordinaire.
What extraordinaire? Is he?
He is. All right, go on. What else do we have?
Oh, well. How do you get a bartender's attention when the place is packed?
I know how I do.
How do you... Well, tell us. How do you do
Well,
it?
I want to know what you were going to say, and I'll tell you what I do. Don't you worry about a thing. I will absolutely tell you.
I think yours is going to be much more interesting than mine.
Probably, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well,
You
okay.
never know.
Well, you know what every bartender loves to do. Do you?
Talk.
Absolutely. There are psychologists
Like we are,
just
yes.
like us. But what they really like to do is they like making a pushy jerk wait for his drink.
Oh.
Don't you hate pushy jerks? We
I'm
sometimes...
not fond of them, to be perfectly honest with you.
Either am I. But you can't let that jerk know that you're avoiding him. Or her.
Okay.
You know, and they get all fired up.
I
and
know
they
a
get
pushy
loud
jerk.
and obnoxious.
I know a couple of pushy jerks.
Who?
I'm not going to say on the air.
Well, what you want to do is you see that loudmouth leaning over the bar, and he's giving everybody a hard time. The bartender is avoiding him and annoying him. Please don't be that pushy jerk. But anyway, so what you want to do is you want to get as far away from that guy as
So
possible.
Get away from the pushy jerk.
Get away from the other side of the bar.
Uh-huh.
You know, you want to make eye contact with the bartender. You know, give him a little nod. You know, roll your eyes up at the
All I
at
do
the
is
jerk.
smile. I just smile. I make eye contact and smile, and I never have a problem. They always come over.
And I've seen you do this. You unbutton the first 2 or 3 buttons of your blouse. I see
Oh
you
well,
do
you
it
found me out.
all the
That's
time.
that's my thing. Yep. I make sure I put my boobs right out there so that the lady bartender can come running over.
They
No.
always, well, it depends if you're in a Lebanese bar or not.
No, my God.
What?
You are so bad.
Have you ever been to a Lebanese bar?
You are so bad. I can't even answer you. You know, I have to just tell you, most bartenders, really basically just want to serve you. I mean, that's why they're there. And so I really, truly don't have a problem. It's kind of like hailing a cab, you know? Oh, okay. So go on. So you get away from the pushy jerk.
All right, so you get away.
I'm
What
telling you that
do-
all the time, by the way.
As long as I am never the pushy jerk, and I am not.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not a pushy jerk. Definitely not pushy.
So
Oh, that's so good.
I forgot what I was going to say now. How do
you see that?
manage to do that?
I suck the stuff right out of your head.
Yes, you do. So anyway, you give that bartender a little nod. You kind of look at the jerk and watch him ignore the competition. What I do is I'll have a $20 bill in my hand that I just
Oh, and
hold
you
up
just
in the air.
wave the 20.
I do not wave it. I just hold it there so he knows I want something, and then leave a good tip.
Always.
Always leave a good tip.
They work their
And
asses off.
if you tip that bartender before you get your drink, you will never be thirsty. At least
you
at that
see,
bar.
now that's a good thing because you know how I hate to be thirsty.
Yes, and bartenders hate cheapskates.
Absolutely.
This portion of our show is sponsored by Susan Eckley Ruck of ID Life. Not a one-size-fits-all nutritional program.
ID Life stands for Individually Designed Life, where nutrition is personal. formulated just for you and your needs.
Get started today. Take the free HIPAA-compliant health assessment.
Healthforlife.idlife.com.
That's the number 4.
Or give Susan a call, 609-712-1351.
Follow her on Facebook.
You'll be glad you did.
And we're back with Chocolate Charlie from the Chocolate Box.
Chocolate Charlie.
Robbinsville Town Center. How you doing?
Good. Hi, guys. This is Chocolate Charlie. How are you doing?
We are fabulous.
Always.
Okay. So today, we know it's getting a little chilly out now. And with the weather like this, do you know what you guys really need?
Tell us.
You need our hot chocolate. And let me tell you, our hot chocolate is from Spain. And it's...
Of course it is.
It's the
You
authentic
mean
Spanish
it's
hot chocolate.
not Swiss Miss?
No, it's not. No, it's real chocolate. We actually take the chocolate bar that we get and we grind it down by hand into the powder that you guys drink. And because of that, you get an extraordinary, you get the best flavor. And because of that, I think you guys are going to have a great time with this one. Come by for a blueberry version of it or get it mixed with coffee for our Megachino.
Oh.
ChocolateBoxNJ.com.
I'm Anthony Vincent of Anthony Vincent Salon. Time for another fun and fabulous beauty tip with our tip chick. And here she is.
Got chemistry? Is your salon consistent, happy, edgy, magical, impeccable, satisfying, trendy? Are you ready for anything? Say hello to beautiful.
Remember, for the 150,000 hairs on your head, there's only one choice. Call us now at 609-448-2212. You'll be glad you did.
And now for the fun facts on finance
From a feminine point of view, our very own Dina Cobran.
of DC Alexander Wealth Management. Good morning, Dina.
Good morning, Dina.
Good morning, guys.
Our very own financial therapist.
Love
right
her.
here with us today.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I like that title too.
I like it too. I love it because you know what? We trust you.
It's all about trust.
All about trust.
Well, it is. Thank you. And I do have a story to tell you today about trust.
Let's do it.
I have a client who's been with me probably 15, 20 years. I started off working with her husband mostly. They owned a restaurant and they worked very, very hard on their feet for many years. As you know, working in a restaurant could be very difficult. And the husband handled all the finances, and he did the best that he could do under the circumstances and with the lack of time that he had. And they had decided to sell the business, and they were going to retire, and they were going to travel. And I don't even think he was 60 years old when this happened. They sold the restaurant, and right after they sold the restaurant, he passed away, unfortunately.
Oh, tragic.
It was very tragic because, especially with his wife that handled finances, except didn't handle any of the finances, rather, only handled the restaurant and knew how to run a restaurant and knew how to waitress. And that was really all she was given. She never drove. Still today does not drive. She's only in her 60s and she does not own a car. She's afraid to drive. So you can imagine, how does she get around? I mean, she can't get around that much. And so thrown into the finances of having to handle her own 100% was dreadfully difficult for her. And
Thank God she found you.
yes, well, it took a lot of trust building on my part and her part, because she really did not have any trust, because she didn't understand what all this meant. She did not understand the terms. She did not understand what an annuity was. Her husband happened to buy a lot of annuities, not from me, but from other people. And she just didn't understand what they were and why he bought them and how they're going to work in her life. And it's a constant struggle for her to understand this stuff.
So, but you're working with her.
Yes.
And you're helping her.
Yes, and I'm helping her with her insurance needs because she
giving
doesn't.
her knowledge.
Right. Helping her take care of herself. That's the biggest thing, is how do you learn how to take care of yourself financially? And that's what we need to teach women, is how to take care of themselves as well as, emotionally and physically, but also financially.
Financially speaking, what is a dividend?
A dividend is income that you get from buying particular investments, such as stocks or bonds. Mostly when people say a dividend, they're looking for the dividend on a stock. So if they're buying a particular stock and they're looking for income, a dividend would be important to them.
How does that dividend provide an income?
Well, the company declares to pay either a monthly or quarterly dividend, which is basically interest on their investment. And they can choose to reinvest that dividend if they don't need that income, or they can choose to take it in cash. So they could get a monthly or quarterly income provided to them if that's something that's needed.
So, in other words, you can either get a check monthly or quarterly, the dividend check.
Yes.
Or it could be reinvested.
Yes. And when it's reinvested, they buy more shares of that particular stock.
Okay.
Or company.
So is that done automatically, or does the dividend go into an account and then you buy again from the account, or does it just add more?
Well, the financial advisor has to set it up.
Oh,
so they
okay.
have to decide whether they're turning that, as I call the faucet on, or turning the faucet off.
Okay, so explain what you recommend for turning
Well,
that faucet on or off.
Well, it depends on whether the client needs income or not to survive. Or so, for instance, in your retirement days, you will look for additional income perhaps. And so what you want to do then is gather your portfolio into an income producing investment portfolio as opposed to a portfolio that's just meant for growth. And so then you can decide whether to turn that faucet on and have it drip out the income to you as far as in a check, or whether to turn the faucet off and have it, just stay and accumulate for the future additional time.
Wow. Thank you very much for that information.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Next Financial Group Incorporated, member FINRA/SIPC. DC Alexander Wealth Management is not an affiliate of Next Financial Group Incorporated. 2346 Route 33, Suite 307, Robbinsville, New Jersey 08691. Phone number 609-945-7330.
Need a salon that's about the whole you? Precision haircuts, flawless makeup, impeccable nails, top-rated professional hair products. Anthony Vincent Salon. Looking for a hairstylist who has his finger on the pulse of all the latest trends? Anthony Vincent Salon. Looking for a dependable salon with over 35 years in the industry? Anthony Vincent Salon. Looking for New York City and internationally trained stylists that will create the perfect look for you? Anthony Vincent Salon. Shine brightly while walking down the aisle. Anthony Vincent Salon. For longer, thicker, beautiful hair extensions, Anthony Vincent Salon. Incredible makeup applications for weddings, proms, or any special occasions. Anthony Vincent Salon. Have dry, brittle summer hair? Get a hot shot. Anthony Vincent Salon. Before you put a ring on it, manicure it. Anthony Vincent Salon. Your image is their specialty. For the 150,000 hairs on your head, there's only one choice. Anthony Vincent Salon. For a more beautiful you, call now 609-448-2212 and follow them on Twitter.
And now our very own gatekeeper of matrimonial law, Roseanne de Torres.
Check out DeTorres and DeGeorge, certified matrimonial law attorneys at dndfamilylaw.com.
You'll be glad you did.
Hello there.
Good morning.
Hello there to you.
So, several attempts have been made to serve my wife with papers, and they have not been able to serve her. What would be my next step? And that's the vernacular me.
I was going to say
The
vernacular.
vernacular my.
So I would want to know, how did they try to serve her? Did they use the sheriff, which is the cheapest way to go, which we do use a lot? Or have they tried to get a private investigator to find out what her schedule is? One of the things that we try to do is we have a discussion with our person and we say, look, now that we have the complaint for divorce back from the court, we have to serve your spouse. And we go through the different mechanisms. If they are slippery, if maybe they don't live together, haven't lived together for a while, maybe they've been separated for a while, we may need to get a private investigator involved to find out where they live, where they work. But we have served people at work. The private investigator is the way to go when you have somebody slippery like that. That's difficult to find, because then we know if we can ascertain their schedule, where they work and what their work hours are, then we can send the private investigator there to serve at that particular moment in time. Sheriff, you give them the papers, they go when they feel like it. You never know. If you can tell them, listen, this person is at this location between these hours, and they may or may not get there. But you spend a little more money with a private investigator, you can get them served.
So, excuse me, I just want to ask you, would his vernacular wife have to sign that paperwork?
No, they do not have to sign anything. You just have to say, are you Susan Smith? Yes, here you go. And you just hand it. They don't even have to touch it. If they won't take it from your hand, you just drop it on the ground and you leave. That's service. If none of that works because the person is unfindable. You can't locate them. And you have to demonstrate that you have made good faith efforts to find them. Then there's alternative methods of service. They're called substituted service. Involves mailing, publication in newspapers, and things like that. It's a pain in the neck to do it that way, but because you have to get permission from the court before you can use.
It goes in the newspaper?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I've only had to do that, 2 or 3 times in my 25 years. Those are the people that just don't want to be found, but you're entitled to divorce them. And if you can't make personal service, then the court rules provide an alternate mechanism. You have to get permission from the court, so you have to make an application. That's why I say it's a pain in the neck, because you have to go through file all these papers. And you have to demonstrate in those papers that you've tried to find them. You have to have a private investigator's report. You have to maybe do what we call skip trace, to see what motor vehicle may pull up for an address or something like that. You have to try to send letters to their last known address, have them come back unclaimed, or return to sender, address the unknown, or something like that. And then you put all that together, you send it to the court, say, Judge, I can't find this person, let me serve them by mail and publication, and then they give you an order for substituted service.
So the person that this happened, you said it happened 2 to 3 times? Where was the person?
I forget.
I just can't imagine. Where could somebody
people
hide?
lose track of each other. Look, you don't want to be with the person anymore. You want to be divorced. You haven't seen them. I've divorced people that have been separated for 8 years. They just lose track of them. People don't want to be found. It's easier now to find people than it was. Look, I started practicing law before fax machines, cell phones, and computers. There was no internet.
No
now
Facebook.
you can put somebody's name in, as assuming it's not a very common name, and you can pull up. You can do a skip trace search online. You pay $40 and you can find any, most people can be found because you have social security numbers, you have credit cards in your name. But there are some people that just don't want to be found. They sort of live off the grid. They have no assets. They don't have credit. Maybe they lost their licenses. Maybe they've been incarcerated. You never know. So there's people like that. Not many.
Can you imagine? Oh, yeah, she's in jail. That's why.
Well, those people you can serve because they're in jail.
Yeah, they're in jail.
Can I serve my wife myself?
Technically, there's no prohibition against that, but we don't recommend that because you don't want to call into question the process. So you don't want anybody to say it wasn't good service. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. You get a neutral person in there because somebody has to sign an affidavit that says I made service on this person. So the process server, whoever it is, whether it's a sheriff, private investigator, has to sign an affidavit that we file with the court that says I served the papers on this person.
Wow.
And so you don't want to be the person to sign that affidavit because you just don't want it to ever come back that, there was some fraud or something, collusion or something going on there. So we always use somebody that's neutral to the process.
And you said something about a slippery person. Now, suppose this slippery individual, the sheriff or whoever, goes to the place of employment to serve. Is Jane Doe still here? Does Jane Doe is not here? She moved to Florida. The sheriff, I don't believe you. Here, you're served.
So, that's a problem. That's a problem. Yeah, that's not good service.
That's not good service. Okay.
Yeah, unless the sheriff has reason to know that's Jane Doe,
Is in the back room hiding.
Yeah, that's not good service. Most people, especially with private process, and with people with cops, they see a uniformed policeman, and the policeman says, "Are you Jane Doe?" Most people, that are Jane Doe will say yes. Why? Because they think something's wrong. Somebody's, something happened. So it's very rare for people to say, why, who wants to know?
Yeah, to the police or the sheriff.
Yeah, so.
Oh, wow. Well, everybody, definitely give DeTaurus and DeGeorge a call. And the number is?
908-284-6005.
Fabulous.
This portion of our show is sponsored by Susan Eckley Ruck of ID Life. Not a one-size-fits-all nutritional program.
ID Life stands for Individually Designed Life, where nutrition is personal, formulated just for you and your needs.
Get started today. Take the free HIPAA-compliant health assessment.
healthforlife.idlife.com.
That's the number 4.
Or give Susan a call, 609-712-1351.
Follow her on Facebook.
You'll be glad you did.
Elise, Joe Nunez is here.
Yes, he is.
Live in the studio with
Yay.
us. Joe Nunez, a photographer extraordinaire in film production, directs music videos, and much, much more. And Joe, tell us all.
He is the man who does it all.
tell and going to tell
Good morning,
us
Joe.
all
Glad
about
we're
it. Good
into
morning, Joe.
that.
How you doing today?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We are fabulous.
Oh, did that sound like really like Saturday Night Live or what?
Well, here's the thing. It doesn't matter if it did because it's us.
Okay.
It's who we are. It's what we say.
Dude, awesome. Thanks, guys, for inviting me to come.
It was our pleasure. Yeah, we
we're-
couldn't wait.
We're very excited about having you here today.
Absolutely.
I was excited since you invited me the last time I saw you. So,
Well, why don't you do this? Why don't you start with how did you decide that you wanted to be a photographer? How did you get into this?
well, actually, the funny thing is, I didn't get into photography because of the love of photography. It became that. It
Okay.
got there. But actually, I had gotten involved with a small production company doing films. It was K-Vibe Productions.
Uh-huh.
And the owner that started up the business, Kwali, he actually, we were longtime friends, and we started working on a short film. And that was basically the springboard for everything between, for me at least, to get involved in the creative process of, doing films or shooting anything on a camera, actually. So I kind of wanted to, since it was the first time we did a really good job, I wanted to amplify my expertise in it. So I started, investing more of myself in equipment and going out on location and trying to test. It's usually what you want to do when you want to
Right.
improve on your skill. You want to hone it. So we got a little bored because, I was shooting a lot of landscapes and just blocking things out, and it was getting. So I decided to start incorporating people.
Oh,
so
people
I,
can make it live. Liven
people
things up.
make what you do exciting. We find that all the time in what we do also.
Well, it
Yeah.
animates everything.
Yeah.
Exactly. So all I did was just like any other upstart would probably do, is just like find people that they wanted to shoot and ask them if they would be okay with that. And, I pretty much started that way. And as I progressively worked with these people, I started to understand a little more about photography.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because you're really supposed to start from light to dark. And I started doing a lot of night photography. And
Now, why are you supposed
Yeah.
to start from light
well,
to dark?
because you're really supposed to kind of understand like focusing points and really like, I mean, we're getting really tight. I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, no, I
nerds
can
talk,
understand where you
but-
wouldn't actually be able to focus as well at night than you would be during the day. I
yeah.
understand that.
Yeah, so trust me, when I started, I was just like, wait, why isn't it doing this or that? I can't get the shot off. It won't turn on. Like, I can't get the shutter to open. And it took a little while, but I got it. And then I ended up having a huge love for lighting and shadows. And I kind of blended what I knew from film and together with photography. And that's pretty much it. And then I went to, of course, at the pivotal time that I started, I was coming from a transition because I went from a different field. Like I started as I was more in computers. I was dealing with tech support and that kind of thing, and I changed my career to do photography. And
Which you do beautifully, by the way.
yeah.
Did
Yeah,
that
so-
happen overnight, or did you, when you finally realized you were good, you started doing more photography than tech stuff?
No, what it was is just I wasn't at a happy place in my life, and I wasn't content with it. I mean, I was doing okay, but like, I didn't love it,
Oh, you
So-
have to
You
do it.
gotta
You have to
love-
love what you do.
Yeah.
And
know.
that becomes, do what you love.
Yeah,
you have to.
That's
yeah.
never work when you love
what you do.
you're
Yeah,
doing,
that's what we always say.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty big transition and a risk for me because, I mean, I do have family, so doing that kind of change is, some people would see it
Scary.
as a midlife crisis type thing, where you're just like, why are you changing from this to that when, you have so many responsibilities? Of course, I have family that would be a little worried and stuff about that. But I took the risk and, I had to make a decision because I had to make things happen quickly in a very short period of time. So I decided to go look for internships, and I happened to stumble on an internship. And it's funny because it was with Marcus and Andrani.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're well known in the photography world. They've shot everybody from David Bowie to, Mariah Carey, Mary J. Blige.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
you went right to the top. You went right to the top. That's awesome.
Exactly. And I learned so much from them. And it's funny, actually, the process in when I found them, because, even trying to get an internship anywhere, it's difficult because everybody's looking to learn, especially from great people like that.
So you're lucky that they chose you.
Yeah,
because they probably had a lot of people to choose from.
An internship, you don't get paid. It's not a job. It's like, here you are. I'm offering.
It's like school, basically, if you will. I mean, you're learning from them.
What made them choose you from everyone in that long line?
I honestly, I don't know. I think they just I think I happen to have, they saw that I have some experience in photography, so that I was trainable. They saw that, obviously they were in a position that they needed new interns.
And maybe they saw your passion.
Right, possibly have seen my passion. I know definitely Indrani, I grew really close to her during the process because, I was very dedicated. We worked long hours, like 12, 14, 15-hour shoots. And they'd be like 3 days back to back. So handling productions like that size was completely new to me. I didn't even know where to begin. And they just kind of like threw us in there, and you just have to sink or swim.
You just do it. That's what we always say. Just do it.
Mikey says that.
Mikey says he likes it.
Yeah, so I mean, that experience definitely, I recommend anybody who's like trying to, break into an industry like that, you really have to put in the time. You have to put in the work, because it's part of your growth experience. If you don't do it and you think you're just in it just to
you're not going to win it unless you put it in it. Yeah, basically.
They could be taken so many different ways.
Yeah, that's the way I speak. Yeah, that's the way I speak. Anyway, so you do a lot of models now. You actually photograph a lot of models for definitely for Vicissitude magazine.
Yes.
But I don't know if there are any other publications that you work with.
Right now, I've been I have done some other publications, but I rarely submit to them. So I've been focused more with Vicissitude and just kind of trying to keep it,
together
in one spot.
Well, you do a beautiful, beautiful job.
And the models that you shoot, there's something a little different about the way you shoot than, let's say, the average photographer might shoot. And could you tell us about that?
Well, how about this? What do you see that I do differently from other photographers?
I see very artistic.
Yes, there's definitely an art to what you do. You seem to work with their shadow a little bit. You work with, in my opinion anyway, with what I was seeing with some of the photographs, there's different light that hits in different areas. So I don't know if that's...
No, that's fine. Actually, that's a very... It's interesting you say that, because, I mean, that's,
You highlight different areas of them.
Yeah.
They're good points.
I like to think that when I do work with a model, that I try to bring like their character out,
Oh, okay.
And I try to, that's why I usually prefer like models that have a little bit of acting experience.
Okay, basically personality.
Instead of just kind of being a pretty girl or being a gorgeous dude. I like the personality. I like to bring it out. I mean, acting experience.
So you like somebody charismatic.
I like charisma. I like characters.
Okay.
I like characters.
See, that's why he likes us.
Yeah, basically, probably. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, if there's definitely charisma. Charisma. There's definitely charisma here. We have charisma. That's what they say anyway.
Yeah, but I love people who bring great energy, who really take on a role when they come into the studio, and they when they have the makeup on and everything, that they just create that persona. It's not even, it might be them, a small percentage of them, but they're still taking on this whole new persona.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. They are performing a role.
Yeah.
They're becoming that.
And I think that comes a lot from, you know, my background with working with film, and you know, I like seeing that. So I kind of try to fuse the two together. And of course, you know, when it comes to my post work, I try to give a little more of a painting-esque, you know, feel to things, and a little more fantasy, but without. Sometimes I go a little overboard, but you know, I try not to go too overboard. But you know, sometimes it's necessary to do that and just get it out of my system. Sometimes I go on my moods. You know.
Yeah. Hey, whatever's out on the limb you want to get for it, go for it.
Yeah.
I don't blame you there. That's
Exactly.
awesome. Okay, so moving forward, now we know how you like to choose your models. You like your models to have charisma.
A little acting abilities.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that if the charisma is there, the acting kind of just comes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that.
I mean, a lot of times I say acting is the acting experience is because I know they already have been trained to open themselves.
No, I
You know,
understand what
to
you're saying.
access that.
But I also think that sometimes
Right.
if the person has a personality,
Yeah.
that I don't think that the acting experience
Yeah,
is
it's
as
not
necessary.
necessary,
As long
no.
as they can just do
Yeah,
their
some people
thing.
are just uninhibited. They're just
Exactly.
open book.
Yeah,
You know.
that's how we are.
Yeah, they're not shy or insecure.
No,
Yeah.
no, not at all.
Although,
And you know, it's interesting. A lot of models are very shy, very insecure. But the second they put on their makeup and their little
In front of
costume,
that
whatever
camera?
then out comes their attitude, and then they're all like,
Yeah.
and they're doing their thing. It was a lot of fun when we were at shooting Gary's documentary.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I thought
yeah.
that was so much fun. I had a blast watching all the different photographers, and you, of course, and shooting all of the different people, and especially with what they were all wearing.
Right,
You
right,
know,
right.
I mean, his
right.
designs were flawless and just amazing, and everybody was just trying to capture something. And each photographer, I noticed, really worked very differently. And you were laying down a couple of times, getting a couple of different things. You were on the floor.
yeah, I thought you were just tired.
Yeah, I mean, I always look tired, but I'm actually doing something.
Yeah,
But no, I
was
mean, it's funny.
catching
You'll
an angle.
Yeah, you'll see me. I move around a lot. You know, when it comes to my shoots, I'll be on my back or slide across. I don't, I just go with it.
Well, that's what's so awesome. You're getting different angles and you're getting different photographs that way.
Yeah.
You know, you're just not going head on. You know, hey, shot,
Yeah.
shot. You know.
Exactly. No, but I mean, Gary's always his. It's never a boring day with Gary. So whenever he puts out his stuff, I know I'm in for a show of some sort.
Of course.
Do you want to give Gary a little plug, because maybe some of our
Okay.
listeners don't know who he is?
Well, Gary Marcello, he has a brand called Foxy Face Couture,
Which is awesome.
which is awesome. And he's actually, I've worked with him a couple of times. He's also been on the last year, I think the August issue. No, it was the July issue. It was like with Rob Ordonez.
Yes. Oh, I love Rob.
Yeah, those two, they work exquisitely together.
Oh, they sure do.
Yeah,
They sure do.
and
Love
it's-
them both.
Yeah, they always. I mean, you definitely have to check out Foxy Face Couture.
I agree.
His styling is on point.
Oh,
I mean,
he's flawless.
yeah, and I mean, I think for that shoot, it was just an all-American shoot. So
Right.
I wanted it to be fun and young, and he was able to pull it off. So
Oh, he did it
Yeah.
beautifully.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. I got a lot of great compliments off of that cover and that spread. So, and Rob did an amazing job as the photographer. He really made the girls have fun, of course, and I think in a male model, oh my God, I'm trying to remember his name. Coltrane is his last name, I remember. But and I think Darina May was part of it. She was one of the other models too. She's actually in this issue that we just shot again after a year.
Oh, it was that
yeah.
with Thomas Cole?
Yeah, with Thomas
Yeah.
Cole. Yeah, so she came back to do the
The Dark and Wild?
Dark and Wild
Yeah.
issue.
Pretty
Yeah.
awesome. That cover was incredible.
Oh, Tom.
Yeah, Thomas is so excited about it. I mean, he's so amazing anyway.
Tom was in tears like when he
Yes, I
saw
know.
that. Yeah, I mean, but he totally deserves it. He like I mean, if you want an example of what I look for.
Yeah, I was about to say before, you probably love working with Thomas Cole because he's so animated.
Yeah.
And he's got such charisma.
Yeah, no, but yeah, he's definitely, and he's creative. You know?
Oh yeah, I have a picture of him with my daughter, with Mara, that is so hilarious, so outrageous. They're doing they were doing the masquerade thing,
right?
And they're both in like this incredible, I mean, makeup from Tawny Michelle, which is like, you know, dramatization. Yep, she's so amazing. But anyway, the makeup was so unbelievable, and their attitude and their charisma, and they were together in this picture. It's amazing. It's up on Facebook. It's a great photo.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think I'm blessed to have, you know, be able to work with, you know, people like Gary and Rob and, you know, Tawny Michelle. Like, I mean, I've worked with Tawny countless times.
She's unbelievable.
You know, she's definitely an artist. So
I agree.
You know, and she
Kim.
builds a team
Kim
too.
Chaos.
And that's what Kim.
She's incredible.
She's I love her.
I love her too. She's so funny.
Yeah, she brings energy to a shoot every time. You know,
She sure does.
And she worked on, like, oh my gosh, like I said, I mean, I'm blessed to be able to work with great artists like that.
This creativity is it's incredible. And when there's so much creativity, it's contagious. You just you feel inspired to do more.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I am anyway. And you too.
We just want to be part of it.
Yeah.
To see something great and
be part of the greatness.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. You know, I just all I want is to entertain people at the end of the day. You
To
know?
make people feel good. Exactly.
You know?
To bring the beauty out. Exactly. We say that all the time.
Yeah, make people feel good. They'll look good.
Absolutely. So what do you have planned? Anything fabulous coming up for you?
Well, I mean, next year, I already expressed this to John, that I'm probably going to be doing a lot more outside of the magazine. So I'm probably looking to do more published work in terms of my own art book.
Mm-hmm. That's an excellent idea.
And I'm probably going to be looking toward speaking with a lot of different curators to do more gallery stuff. So
I love going to the galleries and seeing the artwork.
Yeah, I enjoy
amazing.
that too.
Yeah.
So I want to do. I have two different projects I'm still like playing around with right now that I'm trying to exercise to see if I want to make them exhibits.
Mm-hmm.
So that's more the route I'd like to take. As opposed, I mean, it's great to do the covers and all that. I'm still building teams to work with more of the magazine, but I'm really geared toward trying to really embrace more of the art side of, you know, what I do. So, and then I feel like I'm still going to be doing work with the magazine. It's not like I'm saying that.
Oh, no, we
Don't
understand.
worry, John, I'm still here. But
John will be giving me a call. What's he saying?
What just happened?
Yeah, what's going on?
No. I'm definitely still going to be, creative director for the magazine. I'm actually trying to pull more and more talent in to the mag, so it won't be as heavy on me.
How do you find the new talent that you pull in?
I'm just a fanboy like anybody else. You know, I look for art. I look for artists, other photographers. I look at their work, and you know, and then I'm just saying, this guy probably would be really good for this particular month, and I respect their work, and all I do is I just contact them. So,
that's great.
You know, and I think that's being in the position that I'm in, that I can actually have a platform for that talent to come on board and do work with the magazine. That's actually really rewarding for me, because I get to, not only am I, I'm a photographer, but I'm also a fan.
Right, right.
And I get to bring them on, and they get to showcase their work. It's a win for everybody.
Everyone, yeah.
So, that's why I always I always try to look for it. And it's a little difficult because, sometimes like there are, certain ones are certain talent, they're busy, and you understand they have their projects too. But, just like anything else, things work out in the right time when they're supposed to happen. So
everything happens exactly when it's supposed to.
Yeah, that's right. And
We
if
say
you
that all the
are
time.
joining us just now, we are Trend Radio, and we're talking with Joe Nunez, photographer extraordinaire.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. So, Joe, tell us about if you have any specific charities that you like to promote, that you like to work with, that you like to do anything with.
Charities. Usually with the charities, I anything that the magazine supports, I usually go along with. John's been leveraging to work with a couple of different charities.
Oh, that's
none
awesome.
at the nothing I could plug at the top of my head right now. So
Well, that's fine, but I'm glad that you
yeah.
guys work with them. That's
yeah,
nice.
John's been trying to strategize that to get a lot more charities involved. He was actually trying to pull something together for the last anniversary, but things didn't pan out. So,
But it will next time.
It will. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. That's cool. So how many kids do you have?
I have two.
Little girls, right?
I have a boy.
Oh, a boy and a girl.
And a girl.
Okay.
Elijah, who is 6, and my daughter, who's 10, Aria. And
I love the name Aria.
Yeah.
Love both names.
It's funny because like my mother, she still calls her Aria from time to time. She's like Aria. I'm like, it's not Aria, it's Aria.
That's isn't that interesting?
It's an accent.
No, it's interesting though. A lot of people in my family actually would refer to Mara as Mara, and I just didn't understand that. So that's interesting that happens with your mother.
Yeah. She's like, that means a space.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Area, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, if you say area, but it's Aria. Never mind.
That
Mom.
that is really funny.
Yeah, I tried to tell her. I said, it's an operatic solo, Mom. It's a song. And she's like, still means area.
Oh my gosh.
So when I was a kid, I thought my name was Jesus. Yep. Jesus, because every time I did anything near my father, he would go, Jesus. I thought my name was Jesus. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Anthony.
It's funny about stories about, pronunciation of names wrong too. Like I had an experience when I was going to Sunday school. I used to go to Sunday school. I went to Our Lady of Sorrows. And then I remember going to class and they would always do a roll call and say the names. And I always say, my name is Joe. And they're like, no, your name is Joseph. I'm like, no, it's Joe. And then she's like, come up here. So I had to stick my hands out and she wrapped me in the hand with the freaking ruler. And I remember that day going home crying to my mom. And she's like, literally grabbed the birth certificate right over there and told the nun off. It's like crazy.
Oh my gosh, your name really is Joe.
Yeah, it's just Joe. It's not a nickname.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
so there's no problem pronouncing Joe.
No.
I always had a terrible time in school. I had a 4th grade teacher. I hope she's still well, but her name was Mrs. Krause, and she always called me Alyssa. Okay, and it would drive me crazy. I mean, from 4th grade. Well, anyway, a few years ago, I actually did her nails. And do you know she still called me Alyssa? It was terrible. I looked at her, I go, Mrs. Krause, because I still called her Mrs. Krause.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Elise. It's been Elise always. Okay.
Elise.
Yeah, and bye, Alyssa. It was so nice seeing you again after all these years. Glad you're doing well. Uh-huh. Thanks, Mrs. Krause. You just kind of go with it.
Yeah, you're just like, whatever. They're like tomato, whatever.
Yeah, Elise, Alyssa, yeah. Fine, whatever. Joe.
Joe, Jose. I get people do that all the time. Is your name Joe? Wait, is your name Jose? I'm like, no, it's Joe. Sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure, thanks. So.
That's great.
People call me Anthony. They call me Vince. They call me Tony. I think those are the only things they call me I could say on the air.
Oh, I was about to say something.
Exactly.
I guess I won't.
I'm sure I've been called a couple of things behind my back too. So
no, these people call it right to my face.
I was going to say something, but I won't. I'll hold back.
Thank you.
No problem.
I remember listening to you guys earlier on some of the other casts that you guys had. You guys sound so good.
Oh, thanks.
Such soothing voices.
Thank you. Yes, we pride ourselves in our soothing ability. Our ability to soothe.
Yes.
I'm trying to keep it light. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what it is. You want people to feel good when they hear you.
Alyssa was a siren. Alyssa was a siren in a former life. So
Do you
when
really?
she talks,
Really? You know you're going to be in so much trouble for this, right? He does it on purpose. He does it on purpose. He knows I'm going to get him.
I can't help myself, Joe. It just happens.
It's all healthy banter.
Yes, it is.
It always is, yes. Okay, Dr. Love. No problem. Anyway, back to Joe. Can you do it now, Anthony? Can you go back to Joe?
I can do it. I love to do it.
I know.
always do it. I
Who
just
doesn't
did
like
it.
to
I can
do
do
it?
it again.
Yeah. I was waiting. You know, that was a setup. That was a setup.
I knew that.
I know. He just siphons the stuff right out of my head.
So, Joe, you are quite the family man. From what we know of you, how do you balance your family life and your professional life? That's always a challenge
For so many.
For many professionals.
Well, you know, it's funny because you really have to take it day to day. I try planning things out. Well, you have to plan things out, definitely, because there's what I do, and then there's the
Who
other
you
thing
are.
that I have to do.
There's
Like, I
what
have
you
to
do,
take care of
and
my,
there's who you are.
You know, who I am. I got to take care of my family. I have to put food on the table. I have to make sure that my kids are, they're doing well in school. And, I feel like I'm back in school and I'm still working my professional job. So, I always have to try to, first and foremost, I always have to make time for them. And that's what I do. I work late nights. It's the only way I can get stuff done. I
understand
I'm a night
that.
owl.
It's actually, so am I. I think that's probably why, because I would do so much work at night. I would work so late just so that I could actually see my kids. So then I would just go back to work after I was done with, making sure they had dinner, making sure they had their showers, that kind of thing, putting them to bed, making sure the homework was done.
Yeah.
And then you just go back and you do what you need to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to find that perfect balance, though, because there really isn't one.
There isn't a balance. You're just kind of, things just work out at the time, but you are always prioritizing, the kids and getting everything done. Once everything's done, then whatever time you have left, that's what you have dedicated to what you have to do.
Right.
And, of course, that, that's why a lot of times, but I always make time to, break away from that, because you can always be so consumed with what you're doing and then what you're supposed to do.
Well, you need lifetime also. You need time for you and, so that you can expand, yourself.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's also difficult for me to to even carry like a true relationship amongst all this stuff, because people don't really understand how much is involved. Some of them don't even know that I have kids at a certain point, because they're like, I'm doing this and that, and the last thing they're thinking is that I have children,
right?
Until they get to know me, and then they understand that I do,
right?
So, but. I tried. I do my best. I have a lot of good friends, a lot of good support systems and stuff like that. So,
and you have a lovely sister.
Oh, my sister, forget it. My sister, she's like my biggest cheerleader.
She really is.
I love your sister.
Yeah, she's a sweet lady, sweet girl.
She at the event that we were at last for the magazine, she was the first person that I met when I walked in, and she was just lovely.
Yeah,
just
she's
lovely.
very nice.
Warm, very friendly, very just a nice gal.
I met her a couple of times. I met her at the first time I ever met her was the Americana event that for Vicissitude.
Yeah.
And she was just so sweet.
Yeah, my sister, she's very, very polite. She's very fun, and she just, she always gives off a very positive vibe, So
yeah,
that's for sure.
That's what it is. Positive, definitely.
She's very warm. So, and a lot of people love that about her. So I can see that, course, like I always joke about my sister, because I'll be in a room or whatever, and I'm doing my thing, and my sister comes in, and I was like, oh, here goes my sister to steal the spotlight. But I love her for it because she really brings in like such a positive, warm feeling to a lot of different people, and and of course my sister's attractive, so of course I always have to hear stuff like that, from other coworkers or friends and stuff like that. So it is what it is,
But it's great that your kids have such a lovely aunt also.
Mm-hmm. Oh, forget it. She's great with them. She loves them to death,
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, she's the best. And, family's important, so she's always giving me the support, and, I love her for it.
That's awesome. Well, you are very blessed, Joe Nunez.
Yeah.
Very blessed.
Any more children in the future?
Oh, no.
Hey, I'm with you. 1, 2, you're done. Boy, girl, perfect. You're all
good.
set. Mm-hmm.
I'm good. She's already becoming a little artist on her own. She's a little singer. So, and my son, I'm sure he's probably going to grow up to be some kind of like, somebody who designs like buildings and architecture and stuff like that, I'm sure.
It's interesting how you can kind of see what they're doing as they're young and see what they'll grow into.
Well, you have to kind of pay attention to what they do.
Well,
and what
I know.
Talents,
you have
right?
to. A lot of people don't, but I agree with you.
Yeah, so, I try my best to try to, spot that out and try to like hone in on that thing, that they have, especially like, they're at that age that they want to know everything. They want to
They also think
learn.
they do know everything at that age.
Yeah. Well, my daughter is unique. She's like, everybody's kid's unique, but I say that because like, she's like, she catches on to everything so quickly, and she's very, she's going to be way better than me. I already have a big heart. My sister got a big heart, but I think she's going to like take it to another level. She's just too good.
So I guess we need to be watching out for Aria Nunez.
Yeah.
Just guide her along the way and, put her in positions where she can, use her heart and put it out there, get her used to that. And, I'm sure it's going to be very, very natural.
Where she can show her light.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And my son's just going to, he's a funny boy, man. He makes me laugh all the time. He's always like popping in on me when I'm doing my work or whatever, and he's like always doing these creations and stuff like that. So I could see he still has that artistic side. And it's funny too because he's a little more like he worries about what he dresses and like if it matches and stuff like that.
I love that.
My daughter is a little more on the bohemian side, but he's more like, this thing's gotta, I don't like the shoes, I gotta go with this.
He's 6 years old?
Yeah.
That's great.
He's like, I don't like that shirt, Dad. I'm like, all right, whatever, you pick it.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so he picks out his own clothing. He's got his look that he likes.
Exactly. So, and it is funny because you always want them to be able to express themselves. So that's cool.
Oh, absolutely. Expression is so, so important. You want to always make sure of that. Well, you know that. You have to express yourself.
Yeah.
With your photography. So.
Yeah, no, you always have to do that. Like this, that's why working for the magazine, John gave me the opportunity, the platforms for me to be able to exercise that and to.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And, doing that with the covers and the spreads and working with the amazing talent and being able to bring them on board. So
I went through every cover, just looking at every cover. They're all amazing. They're all amazing. I know that you probably had a lot to do with a lot of them. I don't know if you did all of them.
I did everything for the last 2 years.
Okay.
So not every cover, but I done the majority of the work for the past 2 years. That's when he started moving more into Jersey, New York area. So
yeah. It's really an awesome magazine. It's a really cool magazine.
Yeah, very cool. Do you have alternative covers like A, B, and C covers?
Oh, there's always alternative covers. We always it's always a juggling act when it comes to that making the decision. But usually 99% of the time, the cover that's chosen is the right one.
Yep.
So, there's, we always have like the one that we're like kind of maybe, but
when you see it, you kind of know it.
Yeah, I kind of know. And it's a lot of times I kind of like brush it aside because not sure if I want it to be the cover. And then it ends up being the cover because
it's the right one.
It's the right one.
When you're shooting a cover, is it one particular idea that you would have for a cover, or one particular model, or do you find yourself doing different models, different looks, whole different ideas, and saying, well, okay, this is, as you said, this is what I thought the cover was going to be, but here's maybe six other choices.
How I usually do it is there's usually like a concept, so we come up with a concept, or I come up with a concept, and I particularly either wrap it around an idea or a designer. Then I look for the appropriate model that will fit that. And then on top of that, I have to see if they fit the model, so then usually everything works out together and we get the cover, So, there are an occasions that, like, I'm not going to talk about certain covers, but that that could have come off a little differently, but, majority of the time,
I think that's with anything, though. That's with anything.
Yeah.
You always think that, but for the most part, I don't know. I think the covers are always amazing.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad that you guys think so, and I hope everybody else does, But I know this year I've come into doing these covers with the mindset of, I'm just going to roll with, like no holds barred, just shooting away.
Yeah. Were you the photographer that shot one of our sponsors?
Yes,
Susan
he
Ruck
is
from
the
ID
one.
Life?
Yeah, you shot Susan.
Absolutely
Great picture.
Beautiful.
Great picture. It was amazing.
Great shot. Great ad and article that the magazine did
ID
with
Life.
it.
Yeah. She's also one of our sponsors.
Yes.
We have a lovely commercial. We love her.
Yeah.
She's awesome. Yeah, she loves you.
Good.
She loves you.
No, she's great.
Yeah, she just absolutely adores you. She's so sweet. But yeah, you did a fabulous job with that.
Yes, you did.
And with everything I've seen so far, you've done a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was actually so nice having you and learning so much more about you.
Thank you for being on our show today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Was great to get to know you better on a different level. I know that socially we've kind of been hanging out on social business and different events and things like that. But this was really a great opportunity today to find out who Joe Nunez is and kind of what makes you tick. So thank you very, very much.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to find out a little more about you, how can they get in touch with you?
They can still go to the magazine and they'll find out that. They can still go to I have a Facebook fan page. It's Joe Nunez Photography. You can find me there. Right now, my website is under development. So.
But you'll update that, your Facebook, and then everybody
Facebook,
will be knowing
you
that.
You can definitely find me on Facebook.
And of course, if you want any more information and you can't find him, you can always reach us at trendradio920@gmail.com. You'll be glad you did.
You have been listening to Trend Radio, where we talk about what's hot and what's not every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Learn and laugh with us anytime, any place. Go right to our website, AnthonyVincentSalon.com. Click away and listen today.
And if you have a topic of interest that you want us to talk about or you'd like to be a guest on our show, email us now at trendradio920@gmail.com. You'll be glad you did.
I'm Anthony Vincent.
And I'm Elise.
And we'll talk to you next week.
Bye for now.